Hey, I wanted to talk to you a bit about something I saw coming up here the other day. I was driving down the road and I only had maybe a mile to observe this, and so a lot of these thoughts went right through my brain very quickly in rapid succession, which some of you go in slow. There's no rapid in your mind, but there is in mine, and mine was going very rapid. And I saw this beef, a black Angus. There was probably 50 of them in a field. And I saw one just casually, slowly walking down toward the culvert. Okay, now there's my rabbit trail. Because when we were kids, we used to go get the cows and we'd go down the pasture, go under the road, which is a big culvert. You can walk under it. It's usually pretty simple unless it's been rainy, and then it's pretty messy in the middle. You just walk along the sides. And you go get the cows, and then they slowly follow you home. So when I saw this cow heading for the culvert, of course, all these things came back to my mind. Not to mention the year that I got a brand new barrette. I had really long hair. I got a brand new barrette. And right when we were ready to leave for a kids' youth rally, the cows got out. And so there's no option. You didn't say I don't want to, or I just got dressed and I have a new barrette in my hair. You just went and chased cattle. And when we came back and got everybody in, I realized my barrette was missing. So, I mean, I'm on other rabbit trails. But what was interesting is as this one lone beef just is ambling down toward the culvert, all of a sudden you'd see another beef look up and go, oh, someone's going for the culvert, which meant they'd go under the road, across the road, and there's probably better grass over there, if there's any grass left in our area. And then I'd watch a few more just occasionally start ambling, but not all of them. And that reminded me, because now I'm down another rabbit hole, of when we did lambs, sheep, and 4-H, of which we learned many things, one of which we're not going to do again. But it was interesting, and of course, no realization of what showing a sheep was. And the guy that was working with Tyler, as Tyler went to the gate, getting ready to go into the arena, the guy said to him, give me two pieces of advice. Number one, watch what the first guy does. Watch the leader. And the second piece of advice is don't be the leader. I thought that was really interesting because, of course, we had no clue what we were doing. And he was basically saying the first one in knows what they're doing, watch them. Because they're confident, they know what they're doing. Leaders have gotten a bad rap. I get frustrated when I hear people rant on about leaders. It's mostly the people who aren't leaders that are ranting about the leaders. But I think it's interesting because I've been really trying to ingest Ephesians 4. And I don't know why we all have to have an opinion about everybody and then tell everybody else the opinion about everybody. But it says, let no corrupt words proceed out of your mouth, but what is good for necessary edification, that it may impart grace to the hearers. I hear a lot of people bad-talking leaders, and it bothers me, especially since we came through October, which was like Appreciation for Pastors Month, which I probably didn't appreciate my pastor well enough because I kind of don't think about that, and I would rather just be kind to him 12 months a year than really be nice to him in October. But leaders really get a bad rap because they get the angst and the anxiety of the followers, not necessarily where the leader's going, but because the followers don't know where they're going. It was really, really interesting because I came home a couple weeks ago from my daughters, and I came on a lot of roads, and I drove on a lot of interstates. And, not once did it bother me when someone put their blinker on and went off the off-ramp. It didn't bother me because that's not where I was going. They were going there, so they got off the ramp. So why do we get so upset with leaders when they're leading and it's not someplace we want to go? You just don't have to follow them. Leaders, you don't have to follow a leader if they're not going where you need to go. Now, there's a lot of reasons for why we might not follow a leader, but also not be critical of them. Because I think there's the two big things. If they're doing something that goes totally against the Bible, you can go to them in one-on-one. Or you can just not follow them. But you don't have to let those corrupt words come out of your mouth and be nasty about it to everybody else. God's big enough he can handle He can handle that. You just don't have to get off the exit when they do. And a lot of times we can't relate to certain leaders. We all kind of gravitate to different people based on our personality, based on our interests, based on what we really want to do in life. I have never been, and I will probably never go to a quilting convention because I am not a quilter. So I don't get all upset when the people go to a quilting convention. It's just not my interest. So why would I get upset when leaders are leading in a direction that I'm not going? It should not matter to me. But in our wonderful opinions in our world, we get all upset and we have to rag on leaders, but we're not going that direction. So I think it's really important when we look around us and see people doing all sorts of interesting, unique, great things for God. We don't have to follow them all, but we also don't have to criticize them all. And I think it's really interesting because in Psalms it says, leads me in the paths of righteousness. A good leader leads us to be a better person and follows the word of God. And if the leader is not doing that, then don't follow him, but don't let corrupt words come out of your mouth to criticize him. Because we really don't know where God has called him to go. And when we criticize people that God is using, then we're kind of really criticizing God. Now, it's really interesting going back to the beef. Not all of them wanted to go out through the culvert to the field. So not all of them were following the leader. It's okay. You don't always have to get off every exit there is on the road. But you also don't have to have nasty words about every exit when you go by it. So just a kind of thought about cows and leadership and culture in Culverts, in a culture where everybody seems to think that everybody needs to know what we're thinking. So have a good one.